Is it a sin not to wear tassels on my outer garments? And I imagine quite a few of our viewers are thinking, what in the world is that question about? Where did that come from? Well, it is a little unusual question, but it's easy to understand if you realize that this viewer was probably reading back in the Old Testament and found this verse in Deuteronomy. Deuteronomy 22:12, God said, "You shall make yourself tassels on the four corners of the garment with which you cover yourself." Now, that was a prayer shawl, basically, that Jews wore, and God said to put tassels on the corners of it to remind you of God's laws and all of that, and so that was done. Now, this brings up the important fact of understanding the difference between the Old Testament and the New Testament, which, as I talked about when we talked about studying the Bible, the Old Testament is good history. It's got prophecies in it. It's very educational for us, very instructive, but we are not under the Old Testament laws. We're not bound by those. We don't have to do the things that God told the Jews to do. And so we do not have to make tassels on our garments. We're not bound by the Old Testament laws. Now, you can, if you want to wear a prayer shawl and you think that helps you focus on praying and put some tassels on the corners of it, there's nothing to forbid that. You can do that. I will warn you that there is a danger in this outward symbolism, which is what happened during the time of Jesus, especially by the time Jesus came along. The Pharisees and others had taken rules like this, make tassels on your garments, and they had turned it into an outward sign of how religious they were. So the longer your tassels were, the more religious you were. And so they spent a lot of time putting into these outward symbols. Another one is the phylacteries. God said to tie the words of God upon your forehead. And so they started making little wooden boxes and putting scripture in it. And pretty soon, the bigger they made that box, the more religious they were. And Jesus condemned them for that, or making an outward symbol, try to intimate their religiosity. So nothing to keep you from wearing a prayer shawl if you want and putting tassels on it if it helps you some way, but there's a danger there in trusting that this outward symbol does something for your relationship with God. So no, you do not have to wear tassels on your outer garments.
To have your questions answered or to learn more about the Bible, please visit us at knowyourbible.com.